Remember a time, you may, when lens manufacturers took optical design to the max, turned it up to 11, striving to overcome the limitations of film. The Nikon knocked Nikkor 58mm f1.2 was one of those masterpieces. But today, the choice of standard lenses are, well, pretty bog standard. That is, up until now. They say this harks back to the Nikkor 58 1.2, but to be honest, after the Nikon DF, whenever I hear Nikon trying to do something classic with a modern twist, something that isn't branded with advertising with religious style cult music, it makes my scrotum shrink.
The DF didn't work because its link to the past was tenuous and its practicality as a camera in the modern age was questionable. Nikon marketed this lens as a sort of spirito de knocked Nikkor, which is worrying.
But actually this is quite different to the knocked Nikkor. This has two aspherical elements. The knocked Nikkor has one hand ground element. And in terms of max aperture, this is f1.4, the knocked Nikkor f1.2. The price? The knocked Nikkor was really expensive new, and used, bloody expensive. So much so that it's probably caused numerous divorces. Actually, this is not too much different. It's bloody expensive new as well, the 58 1.4G. In the US, 1,700 US bucks. In the UK, even more so bloody expensive, 1,600 pounds.
That's around the same price as a full-frame DSLR like the D600. So what do you get for your cash?
You get a lot of lens for your money. It's big and plastic. And the optics, well, it's in there somewhere, sunken deep down in there. Still, at least you get a lot of plastic to act as a shade, so you'll never forget your lens hood. In theory, this works nicely as a lens shade. But when I say it's plastic, it is all plastic. Even the filter thread is plastic. Oh no, cheapness.
It has a gold ring on the barrel, a gold plastic ring.
That's nice of them. 2 seasons in one. We've got Christmas and spring, or Happy New Year, Chinese New Year. It looks pretty bland, and also the performance is kind of bland too. I mean, there's nothing special. It's got silent autofocus and it's reasonably quick. The closest focusing distance is 60 centimeters, which is a little bit longer than the 50s, but then the focal length is longer, so I guess it kind of works out.
You've got nano crystal coating too. Oh. And it's made in Japan, if that's a feature. Image quality is nice, it's sharp at moderate apertures, but it's still soft wide open, albeit marginally better wide open sharpness than the 50mm lenses from Nikon.
It seems like this lens shares very little with the Nikkor 58 1.2, other than the fact that the focal length is the same. So it does seem that perhaps this might be a disaster. But it seems that this has one redeeming feature. Not really feature, it's the bokeh.
It's not about the sharpness wide open, it's about how blurred it is wide open, or rather the creamy, milky camembertness quality of the blurry bits. The bokeh is really bloody good. I'm going to stick my neck out here and say that this renders better bokeh than any of Nikon's 50mm, and even Canon's. There is a unique look to the bokeh, a somewhat swirly bokeh, as some might call it. This is the whole point of this lens, modern dull sharpness, but the bokeh doesn't suffer. The subject isolation is wonderful. This is best used wide open.
Alright, but how does that compare with the 51.8?
It would be a fail if the 58mm f1.4 gets trumped by the cheap 51.8, right? No chance. The bokeh is way more smoother with the 58 than the 50. The 58 is better corrected for coma too, not the thing that happens in a hospital. The flary points of light at the edges of the frame. The 50s have plenty of it. The 50 is well controlled.
without a doubt, this is pretty phenomenal with its bokeh rendering. But the question is whether there's really a market for this for DSLR users who want quite an expensive prime just solely for that purpose. Of course, there are a load of bokeh whores out there. I'm one of them. So who knows? Maybe this will be a future classic.
It seems like the 58mm f1.4G is meant to appeal to the hardcore rich geek, but it's good that Nikon show that they actually do care to release something that just doesn't make practical sense, but in a good way. This is silly, but fantastic. It's an expensive bokeh machine. For a bokeh whore, it's never usually about is it too expensive, but rather which lens has the best bokeh. And this really is as good as you're going to get for a DSLR standard lens.